Hello, I'm Mallory Miller. When I first learned that I'd have to introduce Carrington Davis for her speech, I was pretty nervous. Full and complete disclosure, my first reaction was, who? Because there's just a pretty large proportion of our grade that I don't know by name. Luckily for me, I soon figured out that Carrington was in my meaning of life class with me. A perfect opportunity to observe the Carrington in her natural habitat. I'm actually pretty glad that I got to introduce her because in my observational study, I found a kind, thoughtful person who lives to bring laughter to the people around her, all in someone I'd never really talked to before. I suppose they don't call her Carrington for nothing. But you don't have to take my word for it. Without further ado, Carrington Smith Davis.
My salvation lies within laughter. My laughter, others' laughter, the sound of laughter, the list goes on. When I say salvation, I am not referring to religious salvation. I'm referring to the little things in life that keep us going. The daily doses of happiness that make us forget, for even a few seconds, the chaos around us and our lives. For as long as I can remember, laughter has always been my salvation. But, in all honesty, I was not aware of my salvation until recently. In my Meaning of Life class last semester, Rev Bush and Miss Ray asked our class to think about the small events or objects that keep us going, our salvations. Surprisingly, it took me a total of 15 seconds to think of laughter. Laughter, more specifically smiling, is proven to give off serotonin. It's a scientific fact. Laughter has been there in the darkest times and the brightest times of my life. It's everywhere. I can always rely on it. It has never let me down, and I don't think it ever will. One incident in which laughter was my salvation was last year during Spanish class with Senora Smalley. I was sitting in the middle row at my usual spot when Senora Smalley said my name and proceeded to ask me a question in Spanish. I froze. Not only because I am not great at Spanish, but also because I had no idea what she had just asked me. I caught a few words, but not enough to piece together what she had said. After a good 5 seconds of awkward silence with some of my classmates staring at me, I decided to take it upon myself to answer her question by just piecing Spanish words together that I knew into a sentence. The whole class turned to me and all gave me the same confused and surprised look. Embarrassment flooded my face as I turned bright red. Someone even told me my scalp was red. I quickly tried to redeem myself by saying, "Lo siento," which means I'm sorry in Spanish, and then proceeded to put my head on my desk in between my arms. The whole class burst out laughing, including Senora Smalley. My embarrassment slowly began to fade away as I lifted my head and started to laugh along with them. Instead of Senora Smalley getting upset with me for not answering the question or even being remotely close to answering it correctly, or the whole class being awkward or silent, laughter saved me as it filled the room and turned an uncomfortable situation into a happy one. By the time the laughter had died down, my heart was no longer beating out of my chest. Yes, I still felt a pang of embarrassment, but laughter overrode that embarrassment. Laughter saved me once again about a year and a half ago. I was in a pretty bad accident that sent me to the hospital for a total of 7 days, 4 of them being in the ICU. On the second day, I was lying in the hospital bed when I realized I needed to go to the bathroom. I attempted to sit up, but I couldn't. My mom noticed my struggle and asked me what I was trying to do. I looked over to my right and told her that I needed to go to the bathroom. She said that we should ask the nurse for some assistance to get me out of bed. After multiple attempts, we still could not successfully pull me out of bed. I was too weak to pull myself up to go to the bathroom, so we had to get creative. The nurse told me I was going to have to pee in a dish in the bed. At this point, I was annoyed at my failure, but agreed, and 2 minutes later, she came in with a round plastic dish. It took us quite a while to situate the dish, but we were finally successful in getting it in the right spot. At least we thought. We were very wrong. I ended up completely missing the dish and wetting the entire bed. My eyes went wide, and we all three realized we heavily failed in our placement of the dish. Instead of getting upset or frustrated or embarrassed, I started dying laughing. The type of laugh when your stomach hurts and you can barely breathe. The nurse and my mom joined in laughing just as hard because I had quite literally peed my pants. This was the first time I had laughed since I had gotten to the hospital. It was also the first time I had seen my mom smile since we came to the hospital. Laughter in this moment saved us both. It gave us a break from all the bad we had endured for the past 24 hours and helped both of us realize that things were going to be okay. My recovery and injuries were still very much unknown, but this laughter reminded me that I was still Carrington. My physical injuries did not change who I was. More importantly, it exemplified to my mother that I was still me, just with a few extra bumps and bruises. These stories are just 2 examples of the countless times laughter has been my salvation. Laughter saves me on the playing field, in the classroom, and anywhere else I go. Every person in this room has their own personal salvations too. Whether that be the Starbucks coffee you get every morning to start off your day, the quick drawing you doodled during class, or the hug you got from one of your friends or family members. The examples are endless. I wasn't aware of my salvation until recently, and after recognizing laughter's place in my life, I've been able to appreciate it a whole lot more. I want each and every single person in this room to think about your daily doses of salvation. Naomi Shihab Nye describes the feeling perfectly in her poem, So Much Happiness, in the line, "Happiness floats. It doesn't need you to hold it, it doesn't need anything." You may not know it immediately, but once you find it, choose to immerse yourself in your salvation because they allow you to float for just a small period of time above your problems. And finally, to my class of 22, a majority of y'all have made me laugh, whether that be with me or at me. I have shared so many memorable laughing moments throughout my time here at St. Mary's with y'all, and I want to thank y'all for that. All 66 of y'all have been a part of my salvation, and I want all of y'all to recognize your own salvations to share with others as we all go off to college. Thank you.